Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is February the 11th, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. We had a good Tuesday. Work was solid. I will say it was pretty busy for, a slow time of the week. I even got some like random backup, at least on the like random like refuse trash or whatever. So that was kind of nice to kind of catch up and, talk a little bit and do that for like the first like part of my day. But other than that, it was just a normal work day. Nothing crazy, nothing weird, definitely nothing wild. But after that, we went to the gym. Gym went well, so that was also good. That was nice. I will say, like, there's a couple of machines I've just been kind of having some I almost want to say like push problems, where it's just like it's just hard to like lock in and do the set the way I want. And I don't know if it's because like I'm hitting this machine when I'm not like at like my full strength anymore, or I don't know if it's that, or who knows, or maybe I'm just a wimp, maybe I'm just a weenie. But overall, I'm not really letting it get me down because like I feel like I've just been going harder. Every so often I've been putting on more, doing more. So I just don't feel bad if I'm not necessarily like hitting every machine perfectly the way I want it. You just kind of go, oh, okay, not my day on this one, and you just kind of keep it moving. So that's been fine. That's been good. Let's see here. Food corner from last night. We had Mexican beef and rice bowl. It was very good. It was very yummy. Very classic. So yeah, there's that. There's the food. That was my day. Let's go ahead and do our startup and get into some news. All right. Our first story comes from CNN. Crew member killed when a small jet owned by Vince Neil crashes into plane upon landing in Arizona. One person is dead and several were injured after a small business jet crashed into a parked plane as it arrived at Scottsdale Airport in Arizona, just east of Phoenix, on Monday afternoon. The plane that was landing is a Learjet owned by Mötley Crüe frontman Vince Neil, according to a representative for the singer. The jet had two pilots and two passengers, but Neil was not on board. His attorney Warwick Robinson said in a statement. I believe it was his significant other and like her friend, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Neal's thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved, and he is grateful for the critical aid and all of the first responders assisting today, Robinson said. A member of the Learjet's flight crew died, according to a preliminary report from the Federal Aviation Administration, and three others on the jet were seriously hurt. A second member of the flight crew and two passengers. One person was on board the parked Gulfstream at the time of the crash, according to the FAA, and a spokesperson for JetPros, the private jet charter company that operates the plane. Let's see here. Yeah, okay. I didn't want to speak out of turn. So it was Neil's girlfriend and her friend were on the arriving plane and were injured. Alan Kovac, a representative from Mötley Crüe, told CNN on Tuesday. So yeah, obviously unfortunate that someone died. Crazy. At least I'm just kind of imagining the situation. You're going to land, and I feel like that's when you're like, okay, we land, everything's cool, secure, business as usual. That's usually when you want to relax, right? I mean, I'm granted, maybe there was some turmoil coming on the come down, but I'm just saying on the typical, flight, right? So it just seems so like, oh my gosh, like, this is supposed to be the easiest part. And the next thing you're crashing into another plane on the ground on the tarmac. So that's crazy, crazy. So yeah, wanted to start there with that. I do have to say, once again, we are stepping into the Trump verse. You know how it goes. You know how it is. And hey, we make the most of it. I can't tell you when this shit's gonna die down when it comes to Trump and all the shit he's trying to do. I mean, who knows? Who can say? But anyway, let's just kind of just go ahead and try to march through it. From USA Today, Trump joined by Musk in Oval Office orders up big cuts in federal workforce. Joined by Elon Musk in the Oval Office. Also, it's worth noting that he brought his fucking kid too, Musk. Like, his kid's just, like, hanging around. Sorry, I shouldn't make fun of the kid. Whatever. But President Donald Trump signed an executive order Tuesday that seeks to significantly reduce the size of government by instructing heads of federal departments and agencies to undertake plans for large-scale reductions in force. This just feels like what he's been doing, more or less, like, with either a light, like, hey, I'm ordering this to happen. So yeah, I put Doge in, but essentially he's like making it official. It's like, hey, I'm saying that Elon Musk can do this. Like, this is what I want. This is the whole point. And that's going to be another executive order. It's also been talked about too that, judges have been ruling stoppages saying, hey, you also have to allow these people to come back. You also have to allow this money to be unfrozen. And Trump isn't necessarily being fully compliant, or at least the Trump admin is not being fully compliant as of yet on some of these things. So it almost remains to be seen that if maybe like this is going to be the new ploy that they try this time around, where it's like, what if we just ignore the courts? It's like a crazy thing. What if we get Andrew Jackson with this shit and we just do our Trail of Tears? Like, what if we just fucking do shit our way, the way we want, and we don't care? Because we're the boss. We're the executive branch, and we're in charge. We have the most power. Like, it's a crazy notion. I don't think that is constitutional. I don't think that's fucking right. But that might be a tactic that they wind up trying here. They might not be fully compliant, or maybe they say, no, you guys are going to have to be more heavy-handed with your ruling. I don't know. I don't fucking know. We're living in strange and interesting times. So I just wanted to start with that. There's obviously more details to be, dug in there, but we got a lot to go through. So we're just going to go ahead and move along. I'm not speaking well, but that's pretty much every day. That's every episode. I'm a mush mouth. From NPR, Trump pardons disgraced former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich. Now, I wish I'd covered this yesterday, just because it paired well with Eric Adams also getting off the hook, not even have to go to a fucking trial. And once again, I can't necessarily say this was Trump directly intervening here, but at least from what I've gathered is essentially they're saying, hey, we're not saying that the evidence gathered, like there's not a case here. We're not saying that. I'm saying the DOJ is saying this. But what we are saying is this feels political. And we want Eric Adams to help us fight immigration in New York. So we need him. So let's let things go. And I mean, we didn't put any prejudice on here, so you can retry him potentially after, elections, mayoral elections in New York or whatever. But yeah, that's what we want. It feels political as fuck to me. It feels like Eric Adams literally was able to just smooth. He went to Mar-a-Lago. He went to the inauguration. And he got what he needed. And now he is free as a bird now. So good for him. And good for fucking Rod Blagojevich, who is corrupt to the fucking gills. Yeah, it's crazy that this guy got a whole ass fucking pardon now, and he's free and clear. We won't spend too long on this, I hope. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of cover some of the bases. President Trump has pardoned former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, who was convicted of corruption-related crimes, including trying to sell a U.S. Senate seat vacated by former President Barack Obama. Blagojevich served as the state's governor from 2003 to 2009. It was a political saga toward the end of his time in office. I really just want to read the quote because it's just so iconic. Essentially, Blagojevich trying to trade off his Senate seat. I mean, I've got this thing, and it's fucking golden. And I'm not just giving it up for fucking nothing, Blagojevich said. I'm throwing in the expletives because it just hits, and I'm not delivering it justice. But yeah, this dude was a known corrupt piece of shit, a whole ass scumbag. In 2008, federal prosecutors accused Blagojevich of turning Illinois government into a money-making operation for himself by trying to, among other things, shake down a children's hospital, a racetrack owners. When prosecutors charged Blagojevich with corruption over the Senate seat, they presented as evidence a profanity-filled telephone conversation he had that was secretly recorded by the FBI. I would recommend Fraudsters if you're interested in learning like all the nooks and crannies of a guy like Blagojevich, or at least like how the schemes went down. A bit of his whole bio. They do a really good job there, and it's a good podcast. It's fun. But yeah, this guy's out. Eric Adams is out. Good for them, I guess. These motherfuckers. I love that Blagojevich came out in a press conference, described himself as a Trumpocrat. I fucking hate this shit, dude. I hate this shit. I hate these fucking turncoats. And don't get me wrong, at least with Blagojevich, he has like tangential ties to Trump because he was on The Apprentice or whatever. So he got the "you fired" from Trump. So he has a bit of dealings, a bit of tango with the man. Which definitely is what led to him getting off here. Trump was like, yeah, he felt pity on him. And so he's like, yeah, I'll throw a bone to my dog. Yeah, whatever. It is what it is. That is the state of democracy we're living in. But I guess we can talk about, I don't even want to say this is good news because he doesn't get what I want. He doesn't get the goddamn jail time. But I shouldn't, y'all know I fucking hate jail. But for some people, oh boy, howdy, throw him in a gulag. Something even worse. ABC News. Steve Bannon pleads guilty in border wall fraud case, avoids jail time. Yuck. Steve Bannon. We're back talking about this fucking greasy piece of shit. Steve Bannon, the confidant of President Donald Trump, pleaded guilty Tuesday to defrauding New Yorkers who donated to We Build the Wall, an online fundraiser for Trump's signature project during his first term, in exchange for a sentence without prison time. The parties have worked out a plea agreement. Mr. Bannon will plead guilty to 5 counts of the indictment, which is scheme to defraud in the indictment. He will receive a conditional discharge, prosecutor Jeffrey Levinson said. The guilty plea to the felony charge represents Bannon's second criminal conviction after he served prison time for contempt of Congress. So, this is a pretty cherry deal for him. I would say he lucked out, but he lucked out even harder too because in the federal part of this, he was already given a pardon from Trump, so he just had to deal with the state. And essentially, they just, I guess, said, you know what, it's not worth trying to like go toe to toe with you in the courtroom, even though I feel like they probably had a case that they could win there. They just said, hey, we really just want you to cop to it. We want you to say that you're guilty. That's what we want more than anything. That's a slam dunk to us. Whatever. That's fine. He's already served some jail time for the whole Congress shit. Okay. But, personally, yes, this is one of the few times where I'm like, yeah, no, put this guy in a jail cell again. Let him rot for a little longer because he's just going to come out and say more bullshit. Like, he's literally come out and been like, yeah, like, I hope Pam Bondi fucking prosecutes Letitia James for all the fucked up shit she's done. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. You fucking mold bug, dude. Yeah, dude, I hate sharing air with this motherfucker, but that's just how it goes. It is a fucking crew of fucking degenerates. I guess I want to close out with not the whole thing, but at least this part of it. How Bannon scammed people in the situation was essentially he was taking money that was supposed to go to the effort. And in this regard, the money was supposed to be given to the salary of the president of the Build a Wall Foundation. Brian Kolfage. But essentially that money did not go to him. It went to other things that I guess Bannon wanted it to go to. The campaign represented that We Build a Wall would use the money to privately construct the border wall, and prosecutors said a central piece of the public messaging in support of this fundraising effort was that Kolfage was not taking a penny of compensation. foreshadowing for the closer here. Financial records show Kolfage was paid, according to a secret salary arrangement, an upfront payment of $100,000 and monthly payments of approximately $20,000. I don't know. To me, this seems like a really annoying way of just doing a scam, doing fraud, but like, whatever, man. These guys can't do anything like normal. They have to be so fucking weird and odd about it. A libertine, if you will. I don't know, man. Fuck these people, dude. They're fucking losers. Anyway, I actually do have some good news here. In this next story, though, once again, I mean, it's crazy. Good news in the Trump verse. I know. Hey, man. Flowers bloom in the strangest places. From the Associated Press, Russia releases imprisoned American Mark Fogel in what U.S. calls a step toward the end of the Ukraine war. Mark Fogel, I'm also assuming no relation to Jared Fogle. I don't know why I had to say that out loud, but I've been thinking it the whole time. An American teacher who was deemed wrongfully detained by Russia has been released in what the White House described as a diplomatic thaw that could advance negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Steve Witkoff, a special envoy for President Donald Trump, left Russian airspace with Fogel, a history teacher from Pennsylvania, and he's expected to be reunited with his family by the end of the day. Fogel was arrested in August of 2021 and was serving a 14-year prison sentence. His family and supporters said he had been traveling with medically prescribed marijuana, and he was designated by President Joe Biden's administration as wrongfully detained in December. Now, long time listeners, the real gumshoes, the true newsies, they know I've mentioned this guy before, maybe not by name, but I have mentioned this offhand. There are, a lot of people who are being held in Russian prison, who are American. I mean, I feel like you can say the number a lot, but there's a good number of people detained. And Fogel was one of them, and I remember that was a catching story in the sense of, because we had the situation with Brittany Griner. She was released, but I mean, she literally was done up, jammed up, because she had, little vape cartridges and shit, little weed vape cartridges that, she had in her bag. And essentially, this guy was like thinking, hey, I'm medicinally prescribed this in America. I should be fine, to do this shit here. It's like, Kremlin says otherwise, comrade. So, he got done up, and that's always a bummer. There's other people that are mentioned in this article, and we've talked about before, done stories on. Hopefully more people get out. But I think the weird thing here that I wanted to mention before we move on to our last story is the fact that Trump is like, yeah, we did this, we made this happen, things are getting, better, we're moving towards, blah, blah, rah, rah, rah. But when asked, what did Russia get out of this? It's like, I think he said more or less to the effect, nothing much. And that's it. And it's like, what? Like, that's strange, dude. Like, not much is the quote there. You should maybe tell us more. Maybe someone should come out and tell us what did they get. Because I don't believe it's nothing. Like who did they get? What did they get? What do you mean? I think that's a relevant thing. I think it's weird that we're not being told that, but so it goes, Government's going to do what they do. That doesn't matter whether the orange man is in power or not. I know that for a fact. But yeah, let's go ahead and move along here. Let's go ahead and close out. A penny for your thoughts, if you will. You know what that means, though. We got to take our last break and we'll shut it down. Started with CNN, closing with CNN. Getting rid of the penny introduces a new problem, nickels. President Donald Trump says he has ordered the U.S. Mint to stop making pennies, which he correctly says cost more than 1 cent to produce. For far too long, the United States has minted pennies, which literally costs us more than 2 cents. This is so wasteful, he said. in a post on his True social platform. Let's rip the waste out of our great nation's budget, even if it's a penny at a time. Trump actually undersold the cost argument. Pennies cost more than 3 cents to produce. So that's a fun fact. Also, that I think they're made more of copper, or they're made more of zinc than copper. I think it's just a copper coating. Fun facts I've learned today. But yeah, I mean, also I've learned via this article that Canada actually has done this, and I mean, they're still a thing. They're still kicking and rolling. But that being said, yes, this is a waste to keep minting pennies. But if you get rid of the penny, then we are immediately going to put more pressure on nickels and dimes, which cost more to make than the penny. So I don't know. People are split on this. There's different camps saying, oh, it's a good thing if we get rid of the penny. Oh, it's not going to do much good. There are some saying, hey, this helps the rounding error. It's more efficient to just get rid of the penny. I don't know, man. There are some people who are like penny enthusiasts, and they're like, we got to keep the penny, save the penny. It's got Abraham Lincoln on it. That's important. I personally don't care. I fucking hate change. I loathe pennies. I don't like, what are you going to do with a penny? Whoever wants a penny? It almost feels petty to like give people pennies. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I've got exact change. Like, I remember when I was working retail, that would be like, it would just like, dude, I have a computer that's doing all of this information, and I know you just want to get rid of your change. And technically, my company wants all of your change. We want it, like, money, money, money. We don't care. No. We need it for our tills. I don't want to count it though. I hate math. I hate it. Just give me the fucking greenbacks. So I would personally, I wouldn't mind if the penny was deleted. You know what I mean? I'm sure we would be fine. We'd move on. But I think this is a silly thing. It almost reminds me of the daylight savings conversation, which we still fucking have. We, rewind back to old episodes where I talked about, man, isn't this crazy? We might get rid of daylight savings. Yeah, man, sure, past Isaiah. Nah, fuck that. None of this shit matters. Anyway, I felt like, hey, we can go ahead and just kind of close out with that. It's not, necessarily bad news, just potential penny news. We'll see. Time will tell. Will Lincoln's head roll? Find out on the next episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. No, actually, I'm probably never going to talk about that shit again. Anyway, that's the episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up, IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials you're on. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's a free way to, help out the effort. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. It helps you keep up. It boosts my numbers. Those are always good things. Also, things that are good, that help out. Liking the episode. Leaving a cool comment. And if you want to be so bold, sharing is caring. That's a crazy thing to do, and you don't have to. At the end of the day, I just appreciate a good listener. You listen to my crazy ass rant and yap and, just do my best. and that means the world to me. I really do love that, and thanks so much for that. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.